All right, second game we got on Saturday. We have the San Francisco 49ers heading into Green Bay. Green Bay is favored by 5.5 points. Over-under is 47. And once again, Packers had the bye. So they had the bye as the number one seed in the NFC. Niners coming off that exciting win against Dallas. I will start here. And what I realize is this is the one I'm probably hung up on the most because it's the Niners are the team that the Packers least likely wanted to see, I would imagine, first round, right? Probably would have rather played the Cowboys. And then really what it comes down to is stylistically. And I think that Shanahan, I think that offense has the ability to take away the pace of the game that the Packers do want to play, where the Packers like to control the ball a little bit, but if they're like, if you want to get in a shootout, we'll get in a shootout. That wouldn't favor the Niners. I think the Niners have some big injuries with Bosa, with Fred Warner coming out of that Dallas game, which I know that they're questionable. It sounds like they have a chance to play, but you just don't know. That would probably swing it one way or the other. I'm going to bet against my gut a little bit here, and I'm going to take the Packers. I'm going to take them to cover. I'm going to take them to win. I think that they have the firepower to completely, if it's a shootout, they can obviously beat the Niners in a shootout. I think they can also play the style, especially this year with A.J. Dillon being able to run the ball, control the clock a little bit. And what you've shown, obviously the Niners got to go into Lambeau Field. We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo turn the ball over late in the game. I think that ultimately the Niners defense, that's a question with the two big injuries that they do have, that I don't know if their offense is going to be enough to keep pace with the Packers. And also, this is just from kind of watching the Niners game and then comparing it to the Packers. And there's obviously they played earlier in the year. The Packers ended up coming back to win. But the way that the Cowboys chose to attack the Niners this past weekend is just they didn't really test their corners. The Niners did a lot of like, hey, we'll take away the one-on-one stuff. Right? If you remember when we previewed that Cowboys game where the Raiders went to Dallas, it's they don't like to throw it really outside the numbers. They want to just play everything in the middle, crossing routes, this, that, and the other. So the Niners kind of took away that middle of the field and they kind of isolated their corners on the outside and said, hey, we'll play one-on-one coverage. And you just got to make that throw, right? I think that if they run the same type of defense against the Packers in this sense, the Packers are going to get after them. I think you've seen Allen Lazard come on a little bit as far as establishing himself a role. You still got Aaron Jones, who does work out of the slot more so because A.J. Dillon has came on. I think they got the weapons. I think we've talked about the Aaron Rodgers FU tour. I just think that going into Lambeau is going to be tough sledding, and that team is more equipped to battle against this team compared to, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when they played each other in the conference championship game, that I think the Packers are going to take it to them. I think they're going to win. The 5.5 scares me a little bit, but I'm going to take them to cover as well. So Packers are going to win. Micah, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you on that. And I think the biggest thing for me in regards to, you said this is something, the one game that you probably, went back and forth on for this was the one game that, unfortunately, maybe I just don't give Niners enough credit, but I was pretty certain about. And it mainly was because Bosa, Warner, even if they do play, they're not 100%. And that defensive line, they're not getting a whole lot of pressure. The Green Bay is going to be able to double Armstead or chip Armstead if Bosa's not out there, and they're just not going to be able to get pressure. Rodgers needs pressure on him. He can't give him all day to throw. He'll figure out something to, make happen. So Lambeau Field, it's going to be cold. I think the Packers are going to win in extraordinary fashion, to be honest with you. But so I got them to win. I got them to absolutely cover. So.
Love it. Yeah, and it's you know how it is, right? Paradise football, where if you got the first round bye, you're like, okay, we could play one of two teams. You usually prepare for the team you're least wanting to face, right, or whatever. So I would imagine not only have the Packers played the Niners before, they probably took the last week and a half, 2 weeks to say, hey, let's prepare that we have to face these Niners because they probably give us a tougher matchup. So I agree with you. I think even though it's weird, like I haven't given the Niners the benefit of the doubt all year, and then it just seems like they're just that team that you just don't want to face in the playoffs. And that's why the 5.5 points scares me a little bit, which I would be interested to see how, because when they roll out the lines, it's like, oh, the public is really favoring this one side. I could see a lot of people taking the Niners with points this weekend. So that's when I go with you, where I think I should just think about it less and say, I think the Packers are the better team. I think the Niners are lucky to be there and they're going to overpower them. So good. All right. We agree on that one.
Yeah. And going into the next one, looks like to start out the day on Sunday, we've got the Rams at the Bucks. Tampa Bay is favored by -3. Over under on that is 48. So with this one, this right here is where I am going to predict my first upset of the slate. I'm going to go with the Rams here, and here's why. Rams are hot, right? This is going to be a Matthew Stafford like career-defining type game. With how good Tampa Bay has been, obviously they won the Super Bowl last year. They're making another run right now. By all accounts, looking like it's their conference to lose. The Rams are going to go out here and they're going to make some noise. They've been, suspect at best the last probably 4 weeks or so, right? This is where they've turned it around. If there's one thing that has helped kind of battle against Tom Brady, it's interior pressure, and Aaron Donald is going to get after the quarterback. He's going to help that pocket collapse a little bit, get Brady on his 45-year-old toes a little, try to keep him there, and I think it's going to be a hell of a shootout type of game. But I think that you're going to see Matt Stafford cement his place in history in the, we always knew he could do this, and he finally got the chance to do it type of game. So taking the Rams, cover. I'll be honest, probably going to take the Rams to win too. Money line and spread on that one.
I love it. Gosh, dang it. And so we looked at you have the 4 games and there's just certain ones that you feel, I'm like, oh, okay, like this was the one I felt most comfortable with. And then once you started talking about it, it just brought back all these different like lingering things that I pushed aside. I'm like, gosh, you're so right. And it's like the Rams, when they made those trades, right? They traded for Odell Beckham. They traded for Von Miller. They have Matt Stafford, they traded for him over the offseason. They were just like this Hollywood show, like, look at this stacked team. And then they had that, like you said, like that terrible end to the year. They still have all those dudes and they got nothing to lose right now. They're going on the road, just going after it. And you look at the Bucks who lost Chris Godwin. Antonio Brown just left on a Sunday. It's like and the Rams got Cam Akers back. It's like, man, this is which obviously makes sense as far as why the spread's so close, but oh, yeah, this is going to be tough. I'm going to go Bucks. I'm just going to go Bucks because I'm going to stick to my guns. I think it's going to make it fun that we're competing against each other, but I think the Bucks, Rams have to travel to Tampa Bay. The Bucks basically had kind of like a walkthrough game against the Eagles, even though the Eagles made it close towards the end. I think that they have, as much as they've had injuries on the offense side, they got some big guys coming back on defense, getting more healthy. And, whether it's Keyshawn Vaughn or Giovanni Bernard or whoever, they're getting people going. Maybe they activate Leonard Fournette, but I just think it's the Rams. It might be too little too late, but man, I think this is the Bucks are probably like, we would have rather seen the Cardinals, coming into town. So I think I'm envious of your pick, but I'm going to go with the Bucks and I'm going to play to win here. Bucks are going to win and they're going to cover. So the only way I win this, if the Bucks win, is if they win by 4 or more points. 3 is a push. How about we just call it this way: is 3 is just going to be the Rams win. Okay, a push. The Bucks have to win over more than 3 points. If the Rams cover and they lose by 3, last minute field goal, you win. How about that? No pushes in this exercise. Well, I was going to say, why don't we move the spread? Right? Why don't we move it a half point one way or the other? So.
Well, if you're saying you needed to win by 4 or more anyways, do you want to just call it 3.5?
Yeah, okay, let's just do that. Yeah, we'll call it 3.5. We'll give the Bucks a half point, and then they got to win by 4, or if they win by 3 or less, you win.
Because that's basically what you were saying anyways.
I was saying that. I was also going to say if you wanted to move it from 3 to 3.5 or 3 to 2.5, we could do an odd or even right now to determine our spread for this game. But let's just push it to 3.5 and call it great because I already said that and I feel good about it. So,
All right.
Cool.